Hello and welcome everyone to the last episode of Season 1 of Sights on Sinnoh. We are here covering the Diamond and Pearl anime and the last episode of the Diamond and Pearl season. With me today, I have 3 guests, the first time here in the history, making and breaking ground here on the show. And I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Yeah, my name is Mannie. I had the honor and privilege of being able to be a part of the first episode with Carina. And now I'm very excited to finally be able to do an episode with JM.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, it's very fitting to have both of you here for the last episode as well.
Indeed, yes, full circle. Hello everyone, I'm Carina, aka Pangu. Nice to be on again.
And I'm JM, aka Turtle Guy, and I'm also excited to be here, finishing up this arc and finishing up this story with Paul, which I've covered a lot of.
Debatable if it's the end, because there are 3 more seasons of this show.
This story, not his story.
Oh, this story. Okay. Misheard you there. But yeah, we are covering the last episode here. Smells Like Team Spirit, episode 52. And it just listen to the last episode. It starts off immediately where that one ended here, with Ash and his friends outside the stadium greeting Chimchar onto their team as Paul walks away. And Team Rocket actually comes out of nowhere here and just like assaults everyone with Cacnea and Carnivine. So they're just like blindsided by this attack, and while everything's happening, they grab Chimchar in their hot air balloon and start floating away. And like it seems like they can't do anything as they keep getting attacked by the bullet seed and pin missile that's coming down. So ends up happening is that we get Chimchar just freeing himself by turning up the balloon in a plume of flame, and then jumping down to be caught by Ash on the ground below.
Oh wait, before all of this, we were left with the cliffhanger last episode of, will Chimchar decide to go with Ash? And what is Paul's response gonna be? And Chimchar decided to go with Ash, and JM, what did Paul do?
Paul said, you guys deserve each other. You're pathetic. Which is almost word for word what I predicted he would say.
And then he walks away.
And here's the thing. This is the second most in-character thing Paul does the entire episode, which is the more surprising thing, because I was able to predict this very hard. We'll get to the most in-character Paul thing Paul does, because it's the last thing he does in this episode.
I see. Okay, I'm curious to hear then what that is for you. And then from here, like, Team Rocket just gets blasted up immediately, and in a like more official confirmation of Chimchar joining the party, Ash throws a Pokeball up in the air, and Chimchar spikes it like a volleyball and gets caught inside.
It was really cute. I like that.
Yeah, it was like very playful and nice, and I felt like this was the most meaningful addition to the team that we've had the whole season.
Definitely, especially with the way the episode that came before, just that whole emotion you felt for Chimchar being pretty much left on its own, waiting for Paul to give it a command, and just Paul releasing it like I think minutes after the tournament. So you can kind of see Chimchar is pretty excited to join Ash.
Yeah, it's nice. It really gets me up to see how they're going to use Chimchar next. And we cut to the next day here, which has Ash and Paul up on the battlefield again against Brock and Holly in the semifinals, I believe. And
there was a brief interlude, but it's not super important.
Yeah. Well, wait.
It's just like time waste is what I saw it as, which was kind of weird. The call with Professor Oak, and
oh yeah, okay.
It was really short and kind of weird.
It came out of nowhere for me. I was like,
yeah,
oh, okay. Like, we haven't really talked to Oak almost the whole season, but I guess Chimchar is a noteworthy thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I guess you have to update your professor each time you catch a Pokemon or something.
I guess it's just to like reiterate to Ash that he needs to work with Paul because that's really the only thing of meaning Oak mentions.
Right, which implies that Oak's been watching this tournament.
Yeah. And it also implies that Ash hasn't been trying to work with Paul, which is very not true. He's been trying and Paul's the one who's being stubborn and not listening. So it's like if anyone needs the advice, it's not Ash.
Yeah. Oak did not get the full story here before giving Ash some tips, clearly. And we get to the next battle here, which is again Brock and Holly, the dynamic duo / maybe romantic duo, depending on how this battle goes. And they send out Farfetch'd and Krogunk. And Ash sends out Staravia and Torterra. But before this, he actually does make a point of having Chimchar and Pikachu stand next to him and watch the battle. Which, I don't know how I would feel about, like, being taken out of my ball to stand, like, next to my former abusive trainer in a battle this closely.
Yeah, I feel like he did it to spite Paul.
Oh, okay.
Being like, hey, remember this is your Chimchar that you gave away? It's mine now.
I don't know. I feel like it wasn't out of spite. I feel like he just genuinely wanted Chimchar to like be a part of the action and to like watch how he battled. Because spoiler alert, Ash decides to use Chimchar in his last battle. So
to the surprise of literally no one,
except for all of the characters in the show. But yeah.
Yeah, it's I think maybe a bonding moment that he's trying to have with Chimchar, and also like, hey, like you don't have to be afraid with me on the battlefield. Like get some, like, I don't know, it's like being a soccer player or something on the sidelines waiting for your turn to come in. You get to know the coach a bit and other teammates and see what's going on. And what's going on here is air slash from Farfetch'd side of the field straight at Torterra, while Staravia goes in for an air release on Krogunk, both super effective move against their opponent. And Paul has Torterra use Hyper Beam, which just like skins Staravia basically, and then it tears through the air slash to knock out Farfetch in just one hit.
Yeah, that was pretty fast.
Yeah. And to think that Chimchar was taking these same hyper beams an episode ago.
Was it?
Over and over.
Was it
Yeah,
Leaf Storm?
that's true.
No, there was a hyper beam being used.
Okay.
I remember that. I don't remember if it was Torterra's or if it was maybe Ursaring.
I think it was probably Ursaring.
Yeah.
But regardless,
it's powerful enough to knock out the Chimchar the Farfetch'd in one hit, but not Chimchar, is what you're saying.
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, and that's like good. Like it's debatable. Like, yeah, you knocked out the other one, but you also kind of damaged Staravia, your partner here, which immediately angers Ash, and Paul just says, your Staravia wasn't fast enough. Like, come on, it's your problem, clearly.
I like the effect of like having the hyper beam like flash so bright and like it like cuts to the other people in the stadium, like Dawn and Conway, and like they're like blinded by this thing. Like they're making sure you know how strong this hyper beam is.
That's true. And like any hyper beam, we actually see that. Well, any hyper beam in the game, I mean to say, it actually immobilizes Torterra for a moment. It can't move, and this is when Ash and Krogunk, or when Brock and Krogunk step in to use Brick Break on Torterra while it's vulnerable. And this is right after Holly kind of apologizes to Brock for getting taken out immediately, and he's like, "Don't worry," and then immediately like goes on the offensive with Krogunk because he knows this is his one shot that he's gonna get.
Yeah, I really liked that this was the first time in a while. Maybe, I don't even remember. Have we seen Brock do like a proper battle with Krogunk?
Not with Krogunk.
We saw
I
him
don't think.
battle Team Rocket by himself when he gets Sudowoodo, and
Yeah.
But like that's just a Team Rocket battle, so formally I don't think so.
Okay, well, yeah, I was excited to get to see Krogunk in action directing his poison jab at somebody other than Brock for once.
Right.
Same as Carina. I was definitely hyped, ready to see Krogunk was capable of doing. 'Cause like I said before, Krogunk is one of my favorite Pokemon. I definitely got excited when he went in and you kind of see that Staravia's behind him and he just slides under and he's like, nope, not today.
That was so slick.
Yeah,
that was like
cool
the
sequence.
slickest thing I've ever seen a Krogunk do. Just slide.
Yeah, it's a cool move for sure, and I think one of the spotlights that Krogunk gets to have, which is pretty rare this season overall. And then he just comes out the other side of Torterra and slams it into the ground with a brick break, which I was like, yes! Like, A, we see Krogunk shine, and B, we see Paul take some serious damage.
Definitely, I was kind of hyped. I was like, oh my god, please knock out his Torterra. But obviously that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting dynamic watching this battle because obviously, like, you're supposed to be rooting for Ash, but by this point, you like kind of want to see Paul lose. So I also caught myself being like, yeah, like get a hit on Torterra Brock, and then being like, but oh wait, like we're supposed to want Ash to win, but we also want Paul to lose, and they're just yeah.
Yeah,
Very
it's
conflicting.
Exactly, yeah. And as Krogunk goes in for a poison jab, Torterra starts to move, which causes Krogunk to kind of like climb up the tree on its back and get out of the way of a hyper beam, presumably. But this is when we see the fatal flaw in Krogunk's plan, as Paul says to Torterra, use Leaf Storm. And as Brock realizes way too late what's happening, he yells, Krogunk, get out of there! And we see Leaf Storm just like point blank knock out Krogunk.
Yeah, Krogunk just like goes flying.
Yeah.
Like it was just short of being like a Team Rocket blast off.
Yeah, man, that's 2 for 2 for Paul's Torterra.
Yeah, Torterra's knocking out both of them with just like one shot. Did anyone expect this would be the way that the battle would flow?
Not really. Like I'm waiting for. I mean, I guess the way they set it up, you're just waiting for like Ash and Paul's team to just kind of implode because they're so not compatible and they don't. So yeah, it's kind of like a tension while you're watching it this entire episode.
I think it works after knowing. Like it makes sense going into the finals and knowing the results of the finals that they like framed it this way, where Torterra just hard carries this semifinal match and Ash doesn't really get a chance to do anything. Because it kind of sets that tone moving forward for the next battle. Especially when Paul makes that comment of like, what did you even do anyways? And Ash is like, well, I tried, but you were kind of a jerk about things, as you always are.
Right, because as we close the battle, Staravia comes into Ash, and he's like, hey, you did great. And Paul just remarks, what did you do anyway? And Ash just gives him a look. Because, like, my thought was like, I didn't attack my teammate. That's what I did, Paul.
Yeah, but also, like, I'm pretty sure, I wrote down this line, and I'm pretty sure it happened in this battle and not the next one, but Paul is like, stay out of this, when, like, Ash is trying to do a move, and then he's like, what did you do? And it's like, you can't have it both ways, dude. Like, you tell him to stay out, or you, like, tell him to help you.
It's when Krogunk's attacking the, like, Torterra as it's recharging, and Ash is trying to, like, run defense over Torterra because it's obviously vulnerable. Right. And, like, that's actually a smart move. Surprise, surprise. And then Paul's like, no, stay out of this. But I don't know if it was out of stubbornness or out of a warning because 2 seconds later, the Leaf Storm went up.
That thought also crossed my mind. Is like, does he want to avoid hitting Staravia again? Or does he just think he's going to get in the way?
Yeah, I mean, it's
I don't think he's trying to avoid hitting Staravia. I think he's just
Mhm.
like, you're weak and I'm going to do this by myself because I can, is how I interpret that.
This battle in particular made me think of every time you tag battle with Barry in the games. Because Barry doesn't know how to do crap, and you're there probably over-leveled, fighting usually a Team Galactic admins. And chances are you have a move that's also going to damage Barry's whatever he has at the same time. And as the player, you just kind of go with it, and if Barry gets hurt, Barry gets hurt.
I feel
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
I feel like you only battle with Barry once.
I think there's like 2 or 3 instances.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm like pulling a surf, I'm not like, Barry, stay out of this. I'm like, well, rip Barry.
Yeah, exactly. but that's not the only time you double battle with partners in Diamond and Pearl, because you have the 4 companions that you travel with. 5, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, any of those NPCs, really, it's that situation of if they die, they die.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just playing the games really aggressively.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds like it. I don't think I ever put too much attention into what my rival does.
Well, if I'm running a Torterra, it probably has Earthquake. There's no getting around that.
I feel like JM probably watched too much Rocky, quoting Ivan Drago. He dies.
I'm just saying, if Torterra had an Earthquake, it would be inevitable.
Yeah. I mean, like, the most logical thing here, I think, on Paul's part is probably just get out, because I have a plan of where Krogunk is going to go after Torterra, like, recharges, and it's going to be the perfect spot for Leaf Storm if you don't interfere, Ash. But I think it's still a little too 5-head for Paul.
But that positioning wouldn't have happened if Staravia didn't ambush Krogunk. Because Krogunk was going to go head on and then probably back off.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
wouldn't have
fair.
ended up on top of Torterra.
I don't remember exactly when he tells that to Ash.
After Staravia ambushes.
But yeah, after this battle, we cut back to the Pokemon Center, where Brock is broken mentally as he finds out that Holly left right afterwards because she thought that Brock was disappointed in her and wants to become a stronger tag battle partner that is worthy of Brock. All according to Nurse Joy.
I think Nurse Joy just wants Brock for herself and has gotten rid of Holly.
That's what a twist!
Wow. That's the unaired episode.
She's like, you need to not be distracted because we still have a lot of Pokemon to heal for this tournament.
Yeah. That's probably it.
Her assistant can't get sidetracked right now.
Focus, Brock.
And that's what Brock tells to Ash, actually. He's like, you better win the next battle because otherwise we lost for nothing. Even though Dawn's standing right there. And she okay, Dawn's weird in this episode. She's like going to face Ash and she knows it, but she's still kind of cheering him on. Even as she's like, wait, no, if you win, I lose. Yeah, that's pretty much all this moment is. Paul walks by, picking up his Torterra. And Nurse Joy's actually, fairly nice to him. She's like, yeah, good luck in your battle. I'm like, wait, are you the same Nurse Joy who was, intervening with him using Chimchar last episode?
Yeah, I think that's why that moment previously was, more powerful, because Nurse Joy is just, this objective third party. So if she's, nice to everyone, right? So she's telling you off. You crossed the line somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's totally in her character to, wish Paul the best.
She's very professional. So, yeah, exactly what Pengu said. And then she has that ability to move past that.
Or maybe...
And just do her job.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like after catching Chimchar, Ash probably would have taken it to the center, right?
Yeah.
She probably would have reacted some type of way.
That was my theory, and she's probably watching the battles as well. Mm-hmm. So maybe she also put it together oh, Chimchar's now with Ash, so I can be nice to this guy.
Chimchar's safe for good.
Yeah, exactly. He's in a better place. But not in a better place.
Oh.
Not dead with Ash.
Exactly. Which is
to
all we can
Paul.
ask for.
Dead to Paul, that is true.
Yes, exactly. It's the door's open there. We then move over to the next battle, which is the final battle, and Paul brings out Elekid, and Ash brings out his newly caught Chimchar, who looks so happy and refreshed. It's adorable.
I love the cut to Brock here where he's like, yeah, that's real surprising. He's
He's
like, Brock is like, of course you did. Of course you did, Ash. Never mind that you know that one of the two trainers has 2 water types to choose from.
Oh, yeah, he should. He really should be thinking, like, hey, I actually know the opponent's team here.
At least half of it.
Yeah. And then on the other side, as Conway kind of analyzes the team, they both bring out their Pokemon, which are Buizel and Heracross, which I think is
Dawn
a pretty cool
takes-
duo.
Yeah, Dawn takes the opportunity at the start of this battle to pull out her Pokedex and be like, oh,
Yes,
I wonder what my
for-
partner's Pokemon is.
I don't even know my own dang team.
Wait. She
It's the
she
second
actually
time.
scans Heracross?
Yeah,
No,
she
this-
scans
Yeah,
Heracross.
She does Heracross, and it's not
Yeah.
even the first time, or not
No.
even the last time in this battle that she
It's-
pulls
oh,
out
yeah.
her Pokedex while she's battling.
She
Okay.
scanned Farfetch before, and she'll scan
Mhm.
another one we'll get to in a sec.
Okay.
So she had 3 scans this episode. I've been counting all of them because it just bothers me. Since that Pseudo Wudo episode has been bothering me.
We need a scan counter. I think that's gonna be part of our
Yeah.
like recap episode of all this.
How many times she scans the Pokemon with the Dex?
But it's an interesting detail that she does scan it that I didn't see, and I'll bring up later why I thought that was the case. But the battle starts here, and Chimchar's kind of nervous because he like sees Elekid and he sees Paul, and Ash is like, "No, don't worry. Like you're with me now. We're a team that's actually going to get through this battle." Which I thought was very nice.
Chimchar is like has clearly been bullied by Elekid while they were on the same team. It's like, oh no, it's you again.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was done with this.
It's like, Ash, what are you doing? I ran away from this. And here, I believe Chimchar starts off with a flamethrower on Heracross, but then Weasel covers Heracross by using Aqua Jet and cuts through the flamethrower and also lands a hit on the on Chimchar. And
Yes.
while that happens, we have Elekid use this opportunity to jump up in the air and try to hit Weasel with a Thunder or Thunderbolt. Thunder, okay. And as that goes in, Conway sends out Heracross to fly above Weasel, block the shot, and use Revenge, which I thought was a great play on his part, because Revenge is a move in the games that does double the damage if you are hit first that turn. And
Yeah,
in
I
this
feel
case,
Ooh.
I feel like this battle did a really good job of showing Conway's big brains and like showing
Yes.
good strategy
Yeah.
with Heracross, like here and also later on when he pulls out a feint.
Mhm.
Everything is so thought out. It's like very fun move set from Heracross. Like
Yeah.
these are very atypical moves, things you really don't see a lot of. And I think in general, this like 4 Pokemon match where there's like this crisscross of super effective moves and strong strategy. In the case of Heracross, because it doesn't have much else going for it. This crisscross where they keep targeting each other and having to cover for each other is really fun to watch.
Definitely, yeah.
I will stand for no Heracross slander.
I just mean by type effectiveness, it doesn't have much. It's still really strong, and like I think it's probably the highlight of this battle for me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
This got me motivated to add both Weasel and Heracross to my teams once I start playing Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl, for sure. And it's a Pokemon you can get pretty early on, actually, if you just have some patience with Honey Trees. We don't have any patience as they both immediately start fighting because Ash is like, like Paul, we have to start working together or they're going to steamroll us. And he's like, just leave, like, stay out of this. Like, I'm going to take care of it.
His exact response is like, "So what?"
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what does this even matter? And Ash is just like, Paul, please.
Doesn't Ash say, like, don't you want to
Yeah.
win?
Yeah. And then he says that he'll win it himself because Paul's
Mm.
refusing to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Paul watches those dank memes for edgy teens. He's like, I don't know if it was intentional, but compared to the sub, he feels super edgy.
Really?
He has, like-
Okay.
yeah. he has,
No,
like,
I see that.
these super edgy phrases, whereas in the sub, I mean, he's still a jerk, but it's not as bad.
Mm-hmm. They make it a little
Yeah.
more extreme in the
I
dub
feel like
version.
I feel like they made it more extreme, and it's definitely one of the reasons why I hate it so much, because I feel like
Mhm.
they wanted to repeat Gary, but times 20. I feel.
I mean,
Yeah, and we've had Gary, and he's not that bad anymore.
no, yeah. Gary's been what's it called? Rehabilitated. But like,
Yeah.
to be fair, I think people's memories of Gary are a lot worse than he actually was, especially in terms of like his Pokemon, because you barely see him ever interact with his Pokemon, especially in the first 2 seasons. Here in the battle, we have Ash switch to a different strategy, as both him and Paul are clearly not on the same wavelength. He sends Chimchar to use Dig, which worries Dawn, but Conway's like, hey, like, don't worry about that. We have to focus on Elekid. So Dawn has Weasel use Elekid, or has Weasel use Aqua Jet on Elekid, and Paul immediately covers with his go-to move of Protect. And then Conway says, like, okay, now we have to take care of Elekid the way that we practiced. And she has Weasel go up instead and avoid even going at all for Elekid. And this reveals that Heracross was right behind Weasel, going in for a feint attack, which shocks Paul immediately as he finds out that feint can go through both Detect and Protect, which immediately breaks through and damages Elekid.
Yeah, I love Paul's like one instance of showing any sort of emotion is just total shock. He's like, wait, Heracross can learn this?
Yeah, I love that. It was so good.
So if they practiced it beforehand, why did she not know what Heracross was?
Exactly. That was my question I was going to bring up, Manny. Is like, why did she scan it if they knew this feint strategy, or did they just like talk about it and not actually practice? I don't know what's going on.
Because Dawn is just overzealous with her Pokedex and needs to pull it out for the benefit of whoever's on the other side of that fourth wall.
Yeah, exactly. She knows.
Us.
She has to share it and, you know, show off that pink
I
Pokedex.
didn't even realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's gonna bother me now.
She secretly has a 4th Pokédex entry in this episode, just off screen.
Right.
Weasel shoots Elekid with a water gun, but before it can really do much damage, Chimchar pops out of the ground with Dig and actually causes Weasel to lose its balance a bit, and then is able to hit it with a direct attack, which I thought was a neat little detail. Though it made it seem like it was kind of like mud or sand that was under Weasel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like unclear.
But this is like the first opening that they're able to get this whole battle, basically. And I'm trying to remember what happened at this point.
Weasel counterattacks with the Aqua Jet.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Conway. Yeah, Conway actually tells Dawn to do this, right?
Yeah, immediately because he saw that she was shocked, and he's like, "Let's go!" Like,
launch a counterattack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Which
it does like this midair like Aqua Jet as it lands, and like catches its footing again. I'm
guessing Conway was like, "Hey, like Weasel's now in close range, so it's going to be hard for it to dodge. So like, go for a super effective attack." Which is like, "Oh, that's a smart play, actually." And
Big brain Conway.
Yeah, so far, does this episode change how people feel about Conway here?
I mean, yes, but like he goes all evil again at the end, so I'm still not sure what to think of him.
He's very calculating. He's like He's like if Clement and X and Y only got 1 episode instead of 3 seasons, and I think that's good.
Okay.
Like he's very strategic. He like understands like the ins and outs of battles. Like he has solid strategy that's taken them so far in this contest. I do like that he's not super smug about it. Like he does rely on Dawn and like trusts her enough to carry out his plans instead of just being like, follow me. Like I'm gonna carry like how Paul is.
On in their first battle where he's like, I'm gonna do like only defense and you do like offense and we'll have each other's backs. And I feel like that was a really nice window into like he's genuinely like trying to do teamwork and like trusting his partner and like asking his partner to trust him too, which is nice to see.
And that reflects in all the like color commentary he gives throughout the tournament, mainly with Ash and Paul's battles. Where like last episode he commented on how he in the English dub he says it's against the rules that Ash is like commanding Chimchar. In the sub he says he can't really call it a tag battle anymore or something along those lines.
Oh, interesting.
Which that's like an interesting way to frame it, I guess. And then he makes some comments here or after this battle about how he didn't really tag battle.
Manny, were you going to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with JM's.
Okay. I was going to ask because it sounds like you watched the sub for this. Does Conway have that same tone here as well as like not like still supportive, but not to the point of arrogant?
Yeah, definitely. He has that. It's only when he goes evil, he has that feeling of arrogance. Well, I call it more creepiness. But, yeah, he's definitely the same as supportive as he is in the dub.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, like how Pengu said it was great. Like, I feel like Conway's probably the best example of a good tag battle partner this whole tournament. So I kind of feel bad for him. Yeah, right? Why not?
Yeah, but I'm not going to battle with Turtle because he's just going to wipe with his Torterra without any thought for me.
You're not an NPC, and you're not Barry, who is terrible. I don't care about Barry.
You battled with Barry once.
I don't care about Barry.
Oh my god,
he's the worst.
Okay,
I need to see this now. We need to each do a raid and see how it goes.
And here, Chimchar doesn't like how the battle's going and gets pumped up, as you can see by the flame on its booty, and launches a flamethrower for only Weasel to step in and counter it with a water gun. And while that's happening, Elekid goes in for a thunder punch, but is countered by a mega horn from Heracross, which knocks it right back, and everyone's now kind of recovering, during which Chimchar gives a concerned look to Elekid, who just kind of looks back at him with an expression that, to me, just screamed, like, what are you looking at? Like mind your own business.
Right.
And this is when we get to the kind of climax of this episode, I'd say, as Elekid begins to evolve, shocking everyone and giving Paul a little boost here to his ego as he sees his newly evolved Electabuzz start to charge up for its own thunder, which is presumably even more powerful. And this leads to scan number 3.
It sure does. Dawn is like, there is a big moment happening in this battle, so I gotta pull out the Pokedex.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just had to check this because I know most of the babies evolve from friendship. Electabuzz does not.
Yes, the whole friendship mechanic for the babies is mostly for anything that isn't like an elemental type, actually. And then like
plus Pichu.
Right, plus Pichu, and then moving forward in Gen 4 is like when they kind of cut that a bunch. Like they, like Mime Jr., Bonsly, those are all like mimic learners that you need to do to evolve. But was that something that came to mind when you were watching the episode?
Yeah, my second watch, I was like, wait a second, is that a friendship Evo? Because I'm calling BS on this if that's a friendship Evo.
I don't know. I feel like Elekid and Paul are like cut from the same, whatever the expression is. cut
That's
from the same
fair.
cloth. There we go.
Cut from
Yeah,
the
I
same
would-
something.
Will say I'm a bit upset that they didn't try to startle the Elekid while it was evolving. They just let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or just, like,
Conway's
coming-
still
yeah,
working on
Somebody hit me.
Yeah, like yeah. Instead of going straight for an attack, he just pretty much came up with a strategy and gave Elekid the time to evolve.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this to some people on this episode, some people on this episode before. But in the manga, they actually are able to use their Pokédexes to hit a B button on there and prevent evolution.
Oh
So,
yeah, we were talking about that with the B Button League episode.
right. So, like, there is technically a way they can do it here in the anime too, but as far as I know, they haven't really shown it. But immediately, the announcer's like, "It looks like Electabuzz is charging up a powerful attack."
Uses
Chimchar, I
thunder.
think,
Yeah.
for a flamethrower.
Right, he goes for a
Mhm.
Heracross, goes in for a Mega Horn, I believe, and then
Mhm.
Chimchar blocks it with Flamethrower, and then Weasel. What does Weasel do? Does he go for
Water gun.
Oh, water gun. Okay.
Tried to go for a water gun, but tried to dodge the thunder, but still got hit.
Yes. So now we see a Heracross just covered in fire, like come
Yeah.
down from the ground, and completely electrified Weasel also fall down. And as they both hit, it causes an explosion, which I'm like trying to figure out the chemistry of, but I don't know if it's ever gonna work. So as the smoke starts to clear from this explosion, we see that Heracross and Weasel are both standing barely as they support each other, arm behind each other's back.
And
Which
this
I thought
was the
was-
highlight of the battle for me. I really liked
That's
this.
fair. That was really good. Yeah.
Come
Um,
on, friend. Let me help you.
Yeah.
Again, I love the crisscross of this matchup. Like
Mhm.
they're each trying to protect their teammate, or one of them is, and then like trying to attack the one that's not attacking them.
Exactly. And they're even keeping type advantages in mind as they try to do
Mhm. For once, Ash cares about type advantages.
this. Don't worry, he'll forget about all that by Kalos, as you've told me.
Yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, this moment does not last long, as Weasel gives one last sad smile, and they both collapse to the ground, fainting. And that ends the tournament with Ash and Paul as the victors. And as they gather around for the award ceremony, someone comments like, "Isn't it ironic that they won?" Like
Conway says it.
Yeah, it was Conway.
Yeah, Conway says that, and it's great.
very, very appropriately observed, Conway, as he would.
I do appreciate just a small thing here that Weasel was able to lose with so much grace, which is something
Mhm.
Weasel doesn't do.
Yeah, I think maybe Manny was on that episode with Lucian, where we talked about Weasel's whole victory complex.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think I was on.
Not
that
you, okay.
Oh no,
No.
no, it was us. It
Okay.
one.
Was it just me or was it me and
I think it was just you.
Come on, Will.
But I do know that Carina was there for when Dawn caught Weasel the first time.
Yes.
And-
So,
Yeah, but what do you guys think about this development? As like JM kind of commented that for Weasel and Dawn, and just like Weasel and battling.
Some nice off-screen character development happening there.
Mhm.
Like Weasel and Dawn actually working together really nicely. And then at the end, when Weasel goes back to Dawn and she like pats him on the head and is like, "Good job," and Weasel looks actually like pleased with themselves. So I feel
yeah, I
like
feel like this entire battle, Weasel was just ecstatic and happy to be a part of this battle, and even in defeat, it acknowledged both Chimchar and Electabuzz and was like, "Man, you got us this time." So Weasel was fine with losing this because it gave it its all, and I feel like it had a lot of fun during this battle, and it was just on the edge of its seat throughout the whole time. And I definitely enjoyed this battle. I mean, this battle was really good. It was back and forth, so many counters, like one after another, and yeah, definitely I feel Weasel's excitement and acknowledgement in defeat.
Yeah, there's a lot of growth you can see with Weasel. Like he immediately trusts Dawn and obeys her. like throughout this whole battle without hesitation, which you could not say when she first caught this Pokemon. But do you guys think this is kind of weird that she uses Piplup throughout this whole tournament and then switches to Weasel at the end?
Well, we know that off camera they practice, so I feel like Conway probably suggested it.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Yeah. Probably just like a more consistent and heavy hitting water type is what they were going for. Because I don't know, Piplup has Whirlpool, which you and I have also discussed at length on it being questionably powered.
Yeah.
Bubble Beam. Don't forget Bubbles.
Okay, Bubble Beam. Yeah, you're right.
And it
Bubble
has Bite
Beam-
and Peck.
Yeah, Bubble Beam, Bide, Peck, and Whirlpool. And we've literally only seen it use Bide like twice this whole season.
Yeah.
And it's been mostly Bubble Beam and Peck.
I think they were just trying to make it as like strong of a matchup as possible.
Yes.
Totally. Like no disrespect to Piplup, but like it's been said multiple times that Weasel's like a way heavy hitter.
Exactly.
It's weird
I
to
have
have Piplup and like Chimchar pitted against each other right off the bat because I feel like they had some nice chemistry going as like Sinnoh starters together. So I feel like there would have been an extra layer if like Piplup was going head on with Chimchar, whereas like Weasel I feel like doesn't have that immediate connection to Chimchar maybe, so you can like focus more on the battle and actually going all out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that being strong too.
I have a question. Okay, at the end of the battle, Paul tells Ash that if he would have used Flamethrower right away, he would have knocked out Heracross at the beginning, but he was too weak to do it. Is he referring to the first Flamethrower of the battle, or that
No, he's referring to the last one, where they double KO.
Yeah,
because what he was saying was that if that was strong enough, they wouldn't have even still been standing at the end.
So for me,
they would have just been straight up knocked out.
For me, that didn't make sense because
still got the job done. Like it
really
just as strong.
He kind of contradicted himself because it's like, well, then why didn't your Electabuzz knock out Weasel right away?
Right.
Weasel was pretty much the one holding up the Heracross, so I think that goes to say
Paul's
that.
a man of contradictions. We've discussed.
Yeah,
this.
you see, that's definitely a disconnect with that character because he did it in the first match. He's like, stay out of my way, and he's like, what did you do? And he does it in this one as well.
I don't think Manny has listened to our last episode yet, but we have established that Paul is a walking contradiction.
Well, these episodes are airing weekly, so I haven't been able to hear it yet.
Get ready, because that was 2 days ago. And,
it's still fresh.
But here, I think Ash also kind of acknowledges this as he holds Chimchar. He's like, don't. It's whatever. Like, ignore him. You did great.
Yeah, I really like Ash throughout this episode, even at the very beginning, like before Team Rocket attacks.
Right.
And anytime Paul makes a comment, and Ash is incredibly mature, and this is like not how Ash even would have reacted last episode.
Yeah.
Like the day before. Like he brushes Paul off so much and like tells Chimchar to do the same. And maybe it's just because he has Chimchar now. Yeah, he's acting this way, and I'm sure that's definitely part of it. But he's like much more focused, and he doesn't like get as emotional and let Paul get to him as much.
Yeah,
and this is what I think I miss about the anime moving forward past Sinnoh. Ash kind of loses this, and to me, that's kind of tragic because I feel like these last 4 seasons, like these past 4 regions, have all kind of shown continuous growth of Ash, and here we're kind of seeing that go to the next level. And like, there's instances in Unova or Kalos where I'm like, what? Why are you acting like this? Like, you've shown so much maturity before.
I've seen that in Kalos as well. There are some instances where I'm like, this is not the Ash I know. Especially, it's like late season or like late series Ash too, so it doesn't even make sense if you isolate Kalos, but that's unrelated. Right.
And here we again get to the closing ceremony. Ash has all his Pokemon next to him, and Paul has Electabuzz and Torterra next to him, which I found kind of hilariously awkward because, like, they would each have 3 by their side, but because Chimchar aborted, now Ash has 4 on his side, and Paul has 2. And Etna, apparently the name of the MC, or Enta, I guess, ENTA, congratulates them and gives them each their Soothe Bells. Ash says thanks.
We get the answer to this long-standing question of whether they're going to have to share a Soothe Bell. Turns out there are 2 Soothe Bells, so it's all good.
Yes, it all works out. And it even works out better after this scene, because as everyone applauds, we cut to like later on as they're all chilling. Dawn's actually the one holding the Soothe Bell, so like she's like, "Baby."
She's having a great time with the Soothe Bell, and then talking about how sad it is that she didn't win the Soothe Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dawn, chill.
Yeah, like whatever, Dawn. Like, it's fine. And I think Dawn has actually more of a lucky break as Paul walks by, and she's like, "Oh, Paul's coming," and he just throws the Soothe Ball at Ash, and he catches it one-handed. Actually, which I was like, "Whoa, okay, Ash."
Yeah, he was ready for it, but here it is. That was the most in-character thing Paul could have done, and he called Ash pathetic twice this episode. Like, this was still the most in-character thing he could have done beyond just doing that or bullying Ash.
Because Ash says, "What was that for?" And he's like, "I don't need it." And then he leaves.
It's not his style, and he knows that, and he knows he's not there to make friends, whether that's his Pokemon or his battling partners.
Mm-hmm. Is it
and it's just so Paul.
But is it weirdly friendly of him to give it to Ash?
Like it's friendly at all. It's like good riddance. Like you can have 2 of these amazing items, and like I'm still gonna do better than you.
And I think too, it symbolizes for Paul that the win wasn't his own.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It doesn't like even if it was a gym badge, I don't think he would have claimed that win because in the end he relied on Ash. Sure, in the semifinal round he hard carried with Torterra and wrecked Ash in the process. But in that final match, there's no way he could have won that without the cross battling that they did.
And what's interesting is that kind of alludes to the 3rd episode of this season where Ash and Paul battle in Professor Rowan's backyard, and they both faint at the same time, and Ash says like, "Hey, Pikachu fainted first, so it's your win," but he says, "No, the referee called it as a tie, so I'm gonna leave it like that." So it could be very much that same thought process for him there, which is interesting.
Yeah, overall, I'm just still not happy with Paul. I think there was so many chances for him to grow, and he kind of just stood very firm throughout, especially in this episode. And
sorry, continue.
What bothers me about it is that Ash received a lot of criticism from other characters over it, and Ash was doing pretty much everything he could to try and like facilitate teamwork and try and work together.
Right.
And Paul was just like a brick wall in his way that he really couldn't do anything about. And Ash wins in spite of Paul rather than with Paul. And I feel like there were so many chances for Paul to compromise even just once. And sure, it's like showing his like resolve of character, but I don't think it works, at least for me.
It worked for me either. Like I remember when we first met Paul, even if he like still wasn't necessarily likable, like I still like appreciated his character, and it was like, okay, well, like I can see where he's coming from, even if it doesn't like accord with our image of like the Ash very kind trainer. You can be like, okay, I can like see where you're coming from and like respect that. And I feel like by the time we get to these last 2 episodes, it's like I don't even like respect you because you're just such a jerk and like you make no sense, which is kind of unfortunate.
For me, I was thinking about this a lot between our record sessions this week. I thought of it a lot like Prince Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender, where they're set up the same way as these like, one-dimensional villains that their only or rivals, villains, whatever you want to call them, their only goal is to, defeat their enemy. But with Zuko, you get rid of that in like 5 episodes. Like you learn there's more to him, and you get hints of that with Paul at first. You get more of his story. You get, some instances of him showing mercy, and then that's just kind of thrown away. They don't really go into it, at least not in the rest of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if they go into it further later, but for this and for this season-ending arc, it seemed like they had the perfect chance to do that, and they didn't do much with that. Whereas you go back to like Avatar season 1, the end of that first season is huge for Zuko. It's his like changing moment where he loses his drive to do that one-dimensional thing that you kind of defined him as up to that point.
I feel like Paul's character development goes backwards this season, where
Yes.
he starts as like, he seems like a complex character, and you're like, oh, he has like different motivations and like different things driving him that leads him to act this way. And by these 2 episodes, he's just like so one-dimensional and so uniformly unlikable for no particular reason. And yeah.
For me, when you learn that he had, 4 regions himself under his belt, you would think he would have some development as well because of that. And even that was thrown away. And that was a fairly recent discovery. That was the Cynthia episode.
So a few things there. I understand the like maybe first thought to compare him to Zuko, but I don't think these characters are actually very alike at all as you see more of him moving forward.
I'm not talking about their characterization. I'm talking about the roles they play in the story,
Right.
and the ability to grow their character from that.
But the role that Zuko plays is still pretty different, and you can also get hints of that by seeing how much screen time Zuko has compared to what Paul has throughout this whole season.
That's true. I'll give you that, yeah.
And I think the biggest similarity I see maybe is actually towards the end of season 2 Zuko and Paul here, where
they've regressed,
where they've regressed and kind of shut down as they try to accept like if what they're doing is right. And I think that's kind of the kink in his shell that he's starting to discover that Ash is to him. As Ash starts ignoring him, he's like, hey, just enjoy my time with Chimchar and battling and we'll be fine. Doesn't matter what Paul thinks. Which I think bothers Paul more than he's letting on. Manny, did you have any thoughts?
I will say that sub Paul definitely has my attention more than the dub version.
Okay.
I don't know why, but there's just this feeling of wanting to get to know that character more.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, he's a jerk, but it's not as bad as in the dub.
Mm-hmm.
He has that tone of kind of like respect towards Ash.
Mm-hmm.
And it's every time I see him, I'm just like, I want to know what motivates him. Like, why is he the way he is? I don't know why. A part of me felt like when he told Ash that him and Chimchar were meant for each other, it felt like I had this feeling of like he actually knew that Chimchar would be better off with Ash rather than rather than it being an insult to them. I don't know. I just had that feeling of he acknowledges Ash is a good trainer, and even though he's not saying it, like with flowers and rainbows, he kind of does acknowledge that Chimchar would be better off with Ash, whereas in the dub, it feels like Chimchar was just like a burden to him, and he's finally happy to get rid of it. So I'm definitely more intrigued with the sub Paul, and I kind of want to see if their characters contrast later on in the seasons, or if he does reverts in the sub as well. So definitely will be interesting to see.
And I think the writers are kind of reading your mind here, because as the episode closes and they try to figure out what Ash is going to do, Conway, with his like creepy glasses look, tells our heroes,
"Oh God,
hey, you can go to the Veilstone City and challenge the gym there." And Ash was like, "Oh." And then I think Brock points out, "Hey, isn't that where Paul's from?" It's like, "Yeah, Well, we're gonna head to Veilstone City and get my third gym badge, which is how they close off the season. They're setting up to go to Veilstone City, get the next gym badge since this one is closed, and presumably learn more about Paul once we're there.
Just waiting for this like drawn out season 5 arc as we slowly are like Conway's grand scheme is slowly unveiled and we see that he's been pulling the strings all this time and it's like leading to this big Conway moment. I'm just waiting for it.
Plot twist, Conway actually runs Team Galactic.
Oh no! It's all the long con way.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, please.
Well, no.
But yeah, that's pretty much how we end this season and this episode, except for a little moment that I think Carina might murder me for if I don't mention, as Piplup cutely like cheers on everyone.
Oh yeah.
Falls because penguins can't fly.
Oh, except Piplup can. You've
Yeah.
seen
We've seen it. It's really
Well,
weird though.
In
it.
this
It looks so
case,
silly.
Piplup fails spectacularly and like
It's adorable.
plops across the table, and it is a very good moment.
And everyone just laughs, and Piplup's just there in shock, and I'm like, oh no, Piplup paralyzed its spine.
Piplup's like, they saw it. I can't recover. I need to go hide forever.
Just pretend you're not there. They won't see you. They won't notice. But yeah, how would you guys rate this final episode of the season titled Smells Like Team Spirit? Let's start with Manny.
I think overall I'd give it maybe a 7.5. I loved the final battle. Like I said, it was just a great back and forth. Kind of like having you on the edge of your seat, and each Pokemon was highlighted so well. But I think just with the whole disconnect of Paul kind of contradicting himself and being too edgy for my taste, that kind of left a bad note for me. But overall, it's definitely an enjoyable episode. An episode that I'll probably watch again. So yeah, 7.5 for me.
I think I would give this episode, I think I'd give it a 7. Like, I still don't love Paul, and like last episode, that really dragged my rating right down because I was just so fed up with Paul. But I feel like this episode, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, got that all out of my system. I accept that Paul is terrible at this point in the anime, and I really liked everything else was good. There are some cute moments, and like the battle was really interesting, and yeah, I don't know. I liked it.
It's a Paul episode, so I can only go so high. I'm gonna put it around a 7 as well. I love that second battle. I felt like it could have done like I would have loved if the episode skipped the Team Rocket stuff at the beginning. I didn't personally feel like it contributed anything. And just had like still the short first battle and the like even longer second battle. And then I don't know, the actual ending, aside from Paul throwing the soothe bell, kind of fell flat otherwise. It's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna keep going. There's really nothing else to do here. End episode. So I don't know, as a season finale, it kind of fell flat for me because of that. It was odd that the like sort of climax they were going for ended up being Paul's evolution and not like anything super significant with Chimchar. Like, for instance, if they gave Chimchar a chance to use his Blaze ability at some point during that battle, perfect. 10 out of 10 episode. I think just the like building that up, that Ash can draw that power out of Chimchar almost off the bat would have been incredible and like a great way to spite Paul.
Well, he kind of does.
I mean,
Like-
he gets that like flare up, but it's not like ever revealed to be like a full on blaze. And I feel like if Ash was able to pull off a blaze, we would know it from Paul's reaction. But if for instance he was able to pull off the blaze and then like completely knock out Heracross and not get that snide comment from Paul, 10 out of 10 episode. I would that would have been my favorite episode of the season. But they didn't do that. And I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it's coming at some point.
Right. I actually do think that would have been a really cool climactic ending. But I kind of like that they are holding off on that they don't immediately like cut to
Agreed.
that.
I see a reason for it. I just think that if their choice was between that and making the Elekid evolve, I don't know if they made the right choice.
So, would you say that kind of steals Chimchar's thunder here?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I kind of forgot how like Elekid evolves. Like, if you think about it, that's really where the battle turns around, and it just turns around so quickly that to me there isn't a lot of time to process what that means.
That's true. And the first time I watched the episode, I was like, "Wait, that's it." Like when the episode ended, I was just kind of left thinking, "Oh, the episode's over." That felt really quick, especially compared to the other two in this arc.
Right. I think that's where it could have used the most time is like, let's see what else this new Electabuzz does in battle. We don't even see it use more than like 3 moves this battle, so that would have been interesting to see. And I think if you cut the Team Rocket stuff, maybe we could have fleshed that out a little more and maybe see like what's Ash's new rival got in his tool belt with this powered up Electabuzz. But overall, that battle, I think what really makes it stand out to me, and it's something I talked with Mannie in a previous episode about, is just how dynamic it is in terms of the camera angles. Like, we are all over the place. We're looking up, we're looking down, we're looking at diagonals all the time as like they come out at each other. And you can just feel the momentum of all of these Pokemon and see how well choreographed it is. Which I think is what like elevates it to me as probably the best battle this whole season. I can't really think of something that could top it. And yeah, I think there's a bit of a weak link here to make this the true season finale since it's so tied to the last episode. And they have Elekid evolve and not like a lot of explicit growth in terms of Chimchar. But we do see him become a little more chummy with Ash on the battlefield, which I think is a good exposition of that. So overall, I would rate this episode an 8 out of 10. But yeah, are there any other battles that come to mind for people that they really enjoyed this season? Are any of them even comparable to this battle?
I said before that I enjoyed the battle between Paul and Rourke.
Yeah.
And as well as the first battle between Rourke and Ash.
Yeah, the Rourke arc was good.
Yeah, I think up to that point, probably wasn't. I did like the introduction to Krogunk when it faced off against Scizor. I thought that was a really pretty good battle for how short it was. But yeah, I do agree that this one was probably the best battle of the entire season.
I like the Cynthia battle for very selfish reasons. In that Paul gets his rear end handed to him.
I was going to say, I can only wonder what those reasons are.
But also, it just shows like the strength of Cynthia, which is impressive. Because we had established that Paul was definitely not an inexperienced or incapable trainer. So it was cool to see just that next level of strength. In terms of actually climactic, I don't know if it was that, but it was just an interesting one to see.
Definitely, right. Yeah, it's very fun to see where everyone has ended up in this season because I think what we're also understating is Dawn. Like she had a lot to do in this episode, actually.
Yeah, we kind of forget that she's on the other side of this battle.
This was definitely a good highlight for her as well as in terms of battling. She really, going with her pun, she really took the spotlight. And, yeah, she definitely has skills in terms of when it comes to battling
I feel like Dawn did the opposite in this episode. Like, I feel like she was remarkably not in the spotlight, and like her role in this episode was really understated, given that like her goal is not to become a top battler, right? She wants to be a coordinator and like have pretty moves.
Yeah.
Yet she's totally pulling her own weight in this battle, which and like not a lot of attention is paid to that.
She's really only in the competition because Zoe suggested it to the others to suggest to her. Like, she wasn't even told. It was that her friends were told by her other friend to do it. So it's not really her battle to win. But I think she still does an excellent job. She holds her own and
she makes it to the finals.
Yeah, and she's like an incredibly strong opponent against Ash and Paul.
And just to wrap up here with some trivia for this episode, this is the last episode where Michelle Knotts voices James's Mime Jr. And anyone recognize who that voice actor is?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to share with everyone?
Yeah, sure, I'll share. That is the voice actor who plays Jesse.
Yes. So I thought that was kind of funny that she plays Mime Jr. as well, which is really cute.
Yeah, a lot of the regular cast VAs also do voices for the Pokemon.
Right, yeah. We have a whole discussion with Manny about that, about Electrike, but I won't get into that, as he well knows. Yeah.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say that the one who originally plays Meowth who plays Meowth in this season moving onwards was originally, like, his first role in the anime was the scientist who finds the Clefairy Mount Moon.
What? Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. We've been talking about that a little bit in the previous episode. That's good to know. The time between the original Japanese airing and first English dub airing of this episode was the shortest of all episodes at the time when this episode aired in English, with only 99 days between them. The record was later broken by a Univa League Evolution when that aired. So that's still like 3 months. So it's interesting that they keep getting shorter, which is good for us, I guess. And in the English dub, it's implied that the tournament is only held once a year, but in the original Japanese version, it's not stated how often the tournament occurs as a dub edit. But yeah, this is the end of the season for us. But stick around because we are still going to be covering some stuff such as a recap of the season. And since during this season we actually had the first Sinnoh movie come out, we'll be talking about that as well. So stay tuned to see what else we are going to discuss here on Sights on Sinnoh. And yeah.
Before we go, I think it's only fair that we give the audience their favorite segment, which is Poems by Professor Oak.
Yes,
oh my God.
Who had an appearance this episode.
Yes, and before we started this recording, I sent each of you a poem that Professor Oak.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah,
okay.
so I thought since all four of us were here, this is the season finale, we each could recite one of Professor Oak's poems to give our listeners a bit of zen for the week.
Wait, so are these actually like from Professor Oak? Like yes, I don't know the context here.
Yeah, so in the Japanese subs, at the end of the episode, Professor Oak will cover a Pokemon each week.
Oh, okay.
And then he will finish off by reciting a poem that he wrote for that Pokemon. So it's a funny gag that they do. I figured because we're all here that we'd each recite a poem, and I assigned each of you a specific poem. So, Will, if you would start us off, Will.
Sure. Chimchar, you can do it if you try. So keep trying.
Piplup dives into the water with a splash.
Turtwig has leaves growing on its head.
To finish off, Electabuzz trusts Paul will bring victory.
Oh no, it was all cute until then.
Bit of zen for our listeners. Well, I mean, I had to include each Pokemon that was used in this episode. Oh, sorry if I ruined the cuteness with
Yeah, what the heck is this Gen
Electabuzz.
1 Pokemon doing here with all our cute starters?
Hey, that Gen 1 Pokemon won the battle, all right?
Oh man. And you guys know where that Electabuzz is headed, I'm assuming.
Oh, I've already made that prediction.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mentioned it last
Definitely.
time.
I feel like the whole reason that Paul has it was because the first time we encountered that certain Pokemon.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Electabuzz evolves into Magmortar, right? That's what's happening.
Correct.
Right,
It's
exactly.
his fire type.
Correct.
It's that fire type he's looking for.
He's gonna hack the game. Oh well, he could technically evolve it if he trades away the Electabuzz for a Magmar, holding a Magmarizer thingy.
Yeah, that.
But this brings us to the close of this episode. So thank you, Manny, JM, and Carina, so much for being here this week on this climactic end to season 1 of the anime. And if people want to find you on the internet, where can they do that?
Well, I have no.
Not everyone at once, okay?
I'm not on the Twitter machine, as the kids say. You can only find me on the Discord as El Cat, and that's pretty much it.
Cool. For our tweeting folks, where are your handles? Carina, do you want to share?
Yeah, I am Pengumon, Pengumon.
And I am Turtle Guy 512.
You just had to have numbers in there.
I know, I make it difficult. Turtle Guy, just straight up Turtle Guy was taken. I'm sure there's like 20 of them at least.
Cool. And yeah, I'm on Twitter at will be teasing. I'll link it down below because no one knows how to spell that. But yeah, feel free to follow us there as we share our thoughts and announce when an episode comes out. And yeah, it's been awesome to have you guys. I think this went super well and was happy to see that we could do 4 people at a time.
Yeah.
It's super fun.
tons of
Thanks for having us on, as always, Will.
Yeah, thanks.
As always, you can watch along with us on Pokemon.com, Pokemon TV. And until then, we'll see you in Sinnoh. Have a good one.